Hi gang, so in this video I'm going to share with you my solution to the Smartpad sensitivity on the Rodecaster Pro 2. So if you don't know about this issue, some users, including myself, experience the Smartpads on the Rodecaster Pro 2 triggering accidentally by vibrations to the desk that the device is on, tapping on the frame, movement of the device, things like that. So I posted a video prior to this talking about my suspicions and a theory as to why this Smartpad sensitivity issue keeps coming up. And so far, I've come to a conclusion based on watching a couple of videos, reading through comments, and doing experiments on my own on my device. My solution involves taking apart this device, and I don't know exactly what Rode's policy is, but that might void your warranty. That decision is entirely up to you. If you don't want to do it, then don't. If you send back one of these devices, you probably will get a replacement device, which might pose the same problem if you continue to use the device in the same kind of environment. And let me elaborate. I think the sensitivity has something to do with the temperature of the room that you are using the device in. I watched a couple of videos before coming to this conclusion. The first video I watched was by Stuart from Multimedia Corp. I'll link that video down below for you to check out. He took apart his device and tried to investigate what was causing the Smartpad sensitivity. And the second video was by Rode themselves that did a teardown of a Rodecaster Pro 2, and they were explaining some components of the device, the internals and things like that. So to trigger the Smartpad functions, there are silicone buttons that you press. And wedged between the silicone buttons and the circuit board underneath, there is a plastic film. On this plastic film, there are a total of 8 carbon squares, and that corresponds to the 8 Smartpad buttons. These 8 carbon squares come into contact with the circuit board underneath. That is what triggers the sound effect. On this plastic film, there are the 8 carbon squares, and surrounding these 8 carbon squares are these green borders. And these green borders have a certain thickness to them, a certain height to them, which is supposed to prevent the carbon squares from touching the circuit board in its resting state. So when you're not intending to press the buttons, those green borders are supposed to provide some height and some distance so that when the film lays on top of the circuit board, the carbon squares don't actually touch the circuit board when you're not pressing the buttons. And when you press the buttons, then the carbon touches the circuit board like that. So that's basically what I understand from watching all these videos. So why does the Smartpads trigger? Why the Smartpads trigger in colder environments? Now, I came to this conclusion after reading a bunch of comments, after trying out things myself. I read some comments that said that in wintertime, their Smartpads go a little nuts. When I lightly heated the Smartpad area with my hairdryer, the problem seemed to stop. The buttons behaved normally. There is a metal frame that surrounds the Smartpad buttons, and that is the uppermost surface area that you're touching. The sides and the bottom are made of plastic, but the top layer there is a metal sheet. And in colder temperatures, metal shrinks, right? So my theory is that in colder conditions, when the metal is shrinking, there is more pressure applied to the Smartpad area, and therefore the buttons are very easily triggered. And so to resolve this, my thought was maybe if those green borders are slightly thicker and raised in height, that would prevent the carbon from touching the circuit board as easily. So I tried that out and it seems to work. I don't have any issues with my Smartpad anymore. So this is what I used. If you don't know what this is, it's a nail form. This is used from fake acrylic or gel nails. But I guess you could use anything similar to this. Basically, it's a sticker. It's a sticker. So I cut the stickers and I applied them to the areas, the green border areas. And that raised the height, and now my buttons work just fine. So it's a very simple solution, but in order to do that, you have to take the device apart. And that is the more complicated aspect of this solution. Alternatively, you could try heating up the Smartpad area every time you use the device, which is not something that I wanted to do. So if I return this device, I'm probably going to get a brand new device, which will have the same problem because I'm going to be filming in the same kind of temperature. I'm going to be recording my voice in the same temperature conditions. So unless Rode, upon receiving a return device, replaces the plastic film with a plastic film that has thicker green borders, it's not going to solve the problem. If your temperature is going to be consistently at a certain level, it's just not going to solve the sensitivity issue. So that's why I decided to take apart my device and try to fix it myself. Alternatively, you can just send back the device and look for something else. Now I'm going to show you the footage of this disassembly. If you want, you can skip ahead to the film part if you already know how to disassemble this device. Firstly, I'm removing the micro SD card, then using a T9 screwdriver to remove the screws for the XLR inputs and also the headphone jack inputs. Next, I'm going to take a keycap removal tool for keyboards and remove the caps of the volume sliders. So apply pressure to the bottom and topmost edge of the cap. Otherwise, you will be pulling at the metal part which is attached to the volume slider underneath. Next, I'm removing the rubber feet on the back of the device, the bottom part of the device. There are 4 rubber feet, 1 on each corner, and then I'm taking a screwdriver again, H3.0 screwdriver. Prying off the bottom part is quite easy. I just start at the tapered end and pry it off. So now you're going to be seeing the insides of the device. I'm now releasing the 3 ribbons that are attached to the smaller circuit board and also the 3 wired connectors. And now I'm taking out the screws holding down the circuit board. There are 2 on the smaller circuit board and 2 on the one beside it, medium-sized circuit board. And I'm organizing the screws because they are of different lengths and I don't want to mix them up. Taking that small circuit board out. Now you want to be careful when you take out the XLR inputs because they are connected with ribbons to the circuit board underneath. One of the wires is nestled in some grooves, so I'm releasing that from the grooves. Then I'm taking out that piece of black plastic. Here we have some clips that are holding the last circuit board in place. There are 3 clips on the top and 3 clips on the bottom, right next to the volume sliders. So I'm going to take a tweezer and apply some pressure to the clips so that they will release. Once that's done, you will see the plastic film that I'm talking about right underneath. Mine looks a little bit different because I've already applied some stickers onto them. In its regular state, they're just totally green borders. Okay, so here's me cutting the stickers. I had tried just applying stickers around the button that had the most problems, but that didn't solve the issue entirely. I recommend that you pad every part of the green borders so that the increase in thickness is consistent. So just make sure you wipe down with a microfiber cloth the silicone as well as the circuit boards, just so no dust and debris will interfere with the contact points. I'm realigning the black foam pieces. And now I'm clipping the circuit board back into place into those 6 plastic clips using the aid of the tweezer. Then I'm putting in the black piece plastic frame thing and replacing the wire into the grooves. Now I'm placing the circuit board back into place. Just make sure all the wires and ribbons are free and not caught underneath. And snap those ribbons and wires back into place. Remember to put the wires back into the cutout grooves in the circuit board. Again, be careful with the XLR inputs. There are some plastic pieces that snap into place when you put in the second circuit board. And now I'm screwing down the circuit boards once more. Now I've screwed in one of the XLR inputs just so I could hold it in place when I turn the device over to make sure that everything is in working order. And now screwing in the rest of the XLR inputs and the headphone jack area. Before you close up the device, double check that all the ribbons and wires are clipped into place. Next, remember to tuck in the foam and align it properly at the bottom of the device so that it doesn't stick out when you close the device. And then screwing it back into place and replacing the rubber feet. Last thing to do is to place the caps on the volume slider, switch the device on to make sure everything is working. Okay. And there aren't any issues with the Smartpads, so that is great. And you're pretty much done. I don't think the engineers did a great job when it came to the silicone buttons themselves. I noticed when I looked at the other buttons that are part of this device, the smaller buttons, the mute buttons, and so on, those have a different kind of configuration. Instead of having a film in between the button and the circuit board itself, what each button has are 4 black dots in each corner. And I assume those black dots are also made of carbon, and those are attached directly to the silicone buttons themselves. And underneath, there are 4 corresponding gold points on the circuit board, which is supposed to be triggered when the carbon hits those contact points. And those buttons work just fine. There's no weird triggering going on when I move the device. I did hear in the Rode video that they were trying to make these Smartpad buttons very responsive for, on-air live streaming kind of purposes. These buttons aren't pressure sensitive or anything. I think the design was just a little bit flawed in that area. So thanks for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful in some way. Let me know down in the comments if you are thinking of doing this. Again, you might void your warranty. I haven't asked Rode about their policy about this. And let me know in the comments below if you have this issue, if you have another suggestion on how to fix this problem. That's it from me, and ciao for now.